Okay, this is a video, kind of a comparison statement video, opinion, not sure. Just confirm what we're looking at. It's a Legend X. This was not the set that I reviewed in my original video. It's got the wood caps on it. The original one, if you go back and look at it, was black with the gold wings. I let go of that set for reasons that I'll explain in a future video. But huge fan of this one. Out and took my own money. $2,200 about. Actually looked back at the receipt, still under warranty, about $2,200 via earphone. Totally pleased. No complaints whatsoever. Absolutely love the sound. Makes everything sound like it's live. It's got a kind of a holographic presentation. It's very, very nice. I was asked many times, for, I know you do a lot of ChiFi stuff, but your personal stuff, what would you rank number one? And I've said to many people out there, Empire is Legend X, walk away. There may be times where you might find the bass to be a little kind of on you, but that would be reflected in most of the reviews across the internet, so that would be not a shocker. But as a person that likes bass, I was cool with that. And just the micro details, everything's there, and totally cool with it. It's very expensive, but I like it a lot. I did not think that a ChiFi set was going to come along, maybe ever, but certainly not as fast as it happened, where I would say, if somebody asked me, what would be your favorite set overall, forget about price and forget about like ChiFi or not in China, which one would you take? And it turned out to be the Roland. And that this video is kind of to reinforce, because when you make big statements, people kind of move along to the next video, and I got to go back like I did with the Phantoms and say, I'm not hyping this. I am hyping it, but it's not like a flavor of the week. Like, this is legit this is my favorite set. If somebody said now on Tuesday, August 20th in Japan at 12:28 in the afternoon, what would be your number one set? I would say the Fearless Audio Roland would be my favorite set. ChiFi has reached hi-fi. They did it in a triple hybrid, blows me away, because I thought that the eStat drivers were, like I said previously, I thought they were a gimmick. I did not think that they were going to have the effect that you would imagine. I don't know what you imagine with these stats. For me, I'm thinking combining that with a balanced armature and a dynamic driver is quite a task, when combining a dynamic and a balanced armature is already a task. If you've listened to lots of hybrids and been, it lacks cohesion. There seems to be information literally missing from music that you're very, very intimately aware of. Like, deeply when you listen to something that doesn't sound right. It's not a peak or valley. It's literally like something's missing because of the way that they crossed it over. That's most likely explanation. So doing hybrids of two drivers is very, very difficult. There's a lot of good ones, but there's a ton of crap ones. So having a triple type hybrid come in, I really was expecting the Lancelot to be the king. And the Lancelot, by the way, if you're wondering where is that set, it's in my box right over here, and it's number 2, and it's supremely impressive, but it had the unluck of coming next to the Roland, which is not supposed to be the flagship. I think this is supposed to be the second, but that happens often. I think the Empire Ears Legend X was supposed to be the flagship, but there was another one that was more studio oriented that was supposed to be the audiophile nod and wink, like they kind of are. Or this was the most expensive. I don't recall. I love this one the most. When I listened to the whole series, I thought this one automatically. So that, to me, whatever they say is a flagship, that's, to me, the flagship. Compare the bass very quickly. The bass on the Legend X is notorious. It's got 2 drivers, 2 dynamic W7s. They're done brilliantly. There are times where this will overwhelm the mids. And anybody that owns the Empire Ears Legend X and loves the Empire Legend X, if they were asked, give me one weak point, many of them might say there are times where I feel like the bass is coming a little. It sounds slow, or it's just literally creeping into the mids too much. Which one would be depend on how much a person's vocabulary or the way that they describe stuff. But there are times where the bass seems it's a little bit where it's not supposed to be. And for a set that's a kind of a flagship from a company that is promoting a high quality proprietary crossover system, you would kind of expect that not to be the case, but it is. And it's still a fantastic set. Again, until this came, that would be the set I'd rec. If money is not an issue, I watch out for the bass, but it's rarely going to be a problem. But it will come up sometimes. And if somebody listens to a lot of classical and a lot of fine stuff, I don't know that Empire Ears Legend X would be what you want. For most other stuff, I would think it would be probably okay. Even stuff that's vocal-centric, if there's not a lot of low frequency going on at the same time, you really shouldn't have an issue. This set, bass to bass, I up this by about 2 dB, and you're done. You don't need to up the bass on the Legend X. So if you want to play with it, you don't need to. So I guess it's somewhat of a moot point, but I went up to 9 dB on this, and I thought some bass heads might be cool with this. And the mids are BA, so they sounded fine. So the dynamics on these are very impressive. Very, very impressive. And as they measure on a graph, they are very flat. They're like, I call that a long porch. From basically the measured area all the way to 1K is essentially flat. So if the kick drum is in the mix on an AC/DC track, you're going to get that kick drum, and it's going to feel like a kick drum. You get, like in your ear, that little tactile vibration that a dynamic driver will give you. You will get that from this. If you up it because you want to really feel the kick drum, you can in fact do that. There's a number of hybrids. The Moondrop Blessing always comes to mind, where when I tried to up the bass, I got very little feedback from my input via EQ. This will not do that. If you up 3 dB, you'll note that. If you up 6, you'll note it. If you up at 9, you will feel it, note it, hear it. Totally. If you go regular, it's a more audiophile type of bass with confirmed bass head potential. You've got a lot of flexibility in the bass region. This comes as it is, and it's got a good strong bass. It's very cutting bass is I get mixed results with that, and I tend to not do that. I suppose if you cut this a little bit, that would be okay, but again, we're talking about something that's twice the price. So on the bass, being a bass head, but I like that stuff on call, like I'll call you when I need you, I would take this set. On the mids, these are both being taken care of by balanced armature drivers. These are being taken care of by a complex network system of crossovers. This is being crossed over. There's no via graph, the bass to mid transition is seamless. Not notable at all. There's a teeny micro bump around 30 hertz. It's a fantastic visual because it's usually a little out, but I like that. So I would call the mids a wash, except I would say that these are better because in the event and during the moments where the bass will seem to encroach on the mids, this would not be the set you would want for that music. And I'm always thinking Rumors, because that bass is very, very present across all of those songs. Gold Dust Woman, The Chain, everything. The bass is there. A little bit too much. This, because the bass doesn't have that tendency to bleed into the mids, I would take this in the mids over this. The treble is where this becomes a fascinating comparison, because we're talking about balanced armatures taking care of the treble, which we are all familiar with, and then we're talking about E-stat, electrostatic drivers, which by the way are like in shortage right now because there's other companies that are doing it. As a matter of fact, I just found out 2 days ago after doing the other video that they've got a set from Empire called the Wraith, which is using E-stat drivers. I believe it's a triple hybrid. I might be mistaken. I believe it's a dynamic, it's BA, and it's E-stat. It's exactly the same as this, and it's $3,500. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but E-stat is legit. How long is this? 9 minutes? I'll try not to bore you guys. ChiFi has arrived to hi-fi. There is absolutely no doubt. As a person that has separated the two categories automatically for 12 months without explanation, because I don't think it needed it. ChiFi is growing. There's other companies that have been around a long time. Some of them make excellent stuff. You know, I'm doing a ChiFi video here. People sometimes would ask questions. I just ignore it because I'm busy. It's not relative to the video that I was doing at the time. But sometimes I would be not busy, and I would say, I would take the Empire Ears Legend X, EX1000s, price to performance are absolutely fantastic. Some people find the Treble to be slightly fatiguing, but I'm just a huge fan. I love the sound of it. The Treble is fascinating. This is typical balanced armature treble. That is to say, it sounds good. This is E-stat, which is new. And again, I thought it was a gimmick, but they've got a dip that's post 4.8 that drops, and then it comes back up on 8K, and that dip is looks like, I've seen it on another set that has E-stat. It looks like it's a compensation for the E-stat's presentation. I don't know if the E-stat was maybe done the same as a BA as far as the amplitude, the same height. It might be too much, might be fatiguing. It seems like it might be a compensation, because all of the detail that exists that my OCD brain is looking for is there. If that bump wasn't there, it might be fatiguing. That little dip is there. It's not fatiguing. Every detail that I can pick up on this, because I did it, I can pick up on this. I didn't put the video of the music inside because I really want these to be in the center of the frame and with nothing else. There's a time, and I will do a video using music. You guys know my library. Listening to micro details like Michael Jackson, "Wanna Be Starting Something," "No More, No More," the stuff that's in my library. Every sonic rally pole that I'm looking for to be there is there, and clear and very good. And it's very good on this. It's a different take on treble, but it's not really one over the other, I guess. People have sometimes said this has a spatial holographic sound. I don't really know what that means, except that sometimes things that seem to be in the virtual forward are there, and other times they seem to be quite in your head. Both of these sets will put things that seem to be virtually slightly forward, doing it with different types of drivers, but achieving the same results. So in bass, I would take this set, because it has the potential to, when it's at 9 dB plus at 55 hertz, slam quite hard, clean, not slow, not flabby, none of those bad traits that come along with an elevated bass. It does very, very nice. One of the biggest surprises of this set. This set, as it is quite bassy. If I were to add 4 or 5 dB, it would be overwhelming, because there's two drivers. That's not their fault, because when they sell you something and say, we got two dynamic, you should know that the possibility that that's going to occur would occur. And in fact, it does. So this can play multiple roles via bass adjustment. As it is, I think it's already a better set. If we're going to talk about like being able to maneuver it because of genres, this is clearly the winner. And balanced armature, mids, because the mids are connected to the bass, and if this is sometimes giving you a problem, that means that the adjoining frequency range is going to be affected, because that's kind of what the problem is. This doesn't suffer from that. So by that, I would say that the mids on the Roland are better. The treble is difficult to get my brain around, because virtual forward cues are there. Quality of detail seems to be about the same, but we're doing it via different technology, so that would take more time for me to get my brain around. But just doing OCD, like, is that there? Hi-hats, triangles, strikes, and Horse with No Name by the group America. This is the little stuff that I typically listen for that's in the upper registers. It's all there with this. It's also there with this. And that kind of 3D-ish, I don't know how to quite put that, things seeming to be in your front when you know by the Chesky recordings that they're over here at the maximum. They sound like they're just on the front side of your ear. Really, when that guy's walking around banging on instruments and then saying, I'm on the left side, I'm walking towards the front of the mic, and you really, when he says he's here, you really hear it kind of here. But your brain, taking two recordings that are making sound right here, your brain makes up the gap. These both do that about as well, which is to say they both do it well. So that's 10 minutes here. That's 14 minutes. Holy shit, I'm sorry. The time has come. My favorite set is the Roland. I just want to reinforce that, because a few people have paid $1,000 and they're like, that's a big money. It is, but it's my favorite personal set, and I've listened to a lot. And my previous #1 set was non-ChiFi for quite a long time. And the second level supposed to be the flagship, the Lancelot, is something that also could be put. No, I can't say that because the dynamic really puts this in direct competition. The Lancelot doesn't have that, but that is really an impressive set. So this is the Roland. I've showed it to you before, but when you say big things like I did about the Phantom, sometimes you got to come back and say, I'm not joking. I'm not being light with my words. I really think that this is an impressive set. The Roland requires an additional video, so this is redundant for some people, and then for other people, they want more info. They want it from other people, but I got it in my hand. I'm listening to it. I got this set. I love this set. I've wrecked this set with disclaimers about bass and also price, but I love it. I paid for it with my money. This is my new favorite. I'm not going to let go of this. I'm not going to sell it. There's no moving away from this. I love this. It's a fucking classic for me, like the EX1000s are a classic. This is a never going to let it go set, but I find this to be better. In 3 of the 4 major parts of the frequency spectrum, bass, mids, and then treble, it's pretty close, which is to say they're both really good. And I'm out. And the next video I'm going to do will probably be the Lancelot, or I haven't really decided, but I've been listening to the Lancelot most. It's really great. It came out and came with this. That's like its only crime. That's not a crime. That's just bad luck. What is this? Digital Design Audio Mat. Just figured I wanted a solid black background. And a shout out to Digital Design because I just bought a couple of their subs to change my speakers in my boombox to boombox with Digital Designs. I'm gonna have that. And I'm out.